Okay, then finally to the 10 words. We've called 10 commandments, except in the Bible, they're not called that. They're called the 10 words. But they have great significance because they're God's 10 words. There's lots and lots of literature about these, as you might, books and books and books written on them. All of us, I'm assuming that all of us know a lot about these things. So what I'm going to do is avoid the stuff that we pretty much know. Why reiterate that? But pay more attention to what we may not know. For instance, the last 6 or 7, depending on your numbering, lay the groundwork for community. Without these, this is the baseline. This is the kind of stuff we need to do, or better not do, if we're going to be in community. So, we can't go around killing each other or stealing from each other or lying or the rest of it. Different communities, and a lot of people don't realize this, different communities of faith, they number them differently. So, for instance, I was brought up a Roman Catholic. I'm now an Episcopalian, but I was brought up a Roman Catholic. So for me, the 4th commandment is honor your parents. For most of you, that's the 5th commandment. And Jews have one numbering of them, Roman Catholics, and for a while, Lutherans. I'm not sure if Lutherans are still doing this. And then we have one way of numbering them. And then there's the Protestant world, which has a different way of numbering them. So it makes all those arguments about, let's put the 10 commandments in front of municipal buildings or put them on courtroom walls. The problem is, whose 10 commandments? Because we differ. Exodus 20, the one we're looking at now, is obviously the most quoted. It's the one that they want to put on lawns, but it's not the only Decalogue. There are a lot of Decalogues in the Bible. This is the most famous, but there's one that's almost identical. It says it's identical, but it's not, in Deuteronomy 5. Then when Moses smashes the tablets after the golden calf and we have to get new ones. So God says, we're going to write new ones just like before, except you read those and you read these and they're different commandments entirely, or different words. So let's, without further ado, get to them. The first of them, for me, they'd be the first 3. For most of the world, they're the first 4, have to do with relationship with God. This one starts with really emphatic words. It doesn't say simply, I am the Lord your God, or I am Adonai, your Elohim, to use the Hebrew. It says, I myself, which English translations unfortunately never put there. So there's a real stressor. I'm the one. The corollary is no other God for you. There may be other gods. There are other gods in Egypt. There are going to be other gods when you get to Canaan, the promised land. There are going to be other gods there, but I'm the only one that you should pay attention to. So from here on out, there's to be no religious syncretism among you. None of this borrowing a little bit from Baal, because Baal's really good with certain things, and a little bit from me. No, it's got to be all me, all the way. We would say, with our current little tin gods, that people sometimes put other things like possessions, like ways of life, in a pecking order above God. No images. This is one of the first things that will set Israel apart, because everybody else in their neighborhood has little or big chiseled, molded images of God, both plastic, by which I mean, stone or something, and in nature. So we talked 2 weeks ago, maybe, about the Nile being a god. So the river itself is the symbol of the river god Nile. Disloyalty is at the heart again. And this is because God of Israel, it has to be understood as above and beyond all nature, anything in creation. And there's more to it. Images are static. They're immobile. They can't do anything. They can't hear, they can't see, they can't speak, et cetera, et cetera. And they fix a God symbol in a time and a place. But God is free The God of Israel is free. This God can speak, as they're hearing right now, and think and plan and act in nature and in history. So don't be making little clay images and worship that. That makes no sense. And then there's the rider about visiting the iniquity of those who hate me to the third and fourth generation, which sounds really ominous, but Hesed for the thousandth generation. What God is saying is, yeah, I'm going to be very upset with the people who don't get with the program, but that's going to be short-lived to the third and fourth generation, because Hesed, covenant loyalty, compassion, love, my love extends to infinity. To the thousands mean forever. Then there's the wrongful use of God's name. Now, this is not really what a lot of us learned about saying, God damn it. That's when you think of a lot of these things as on a continuum, that's at the outer end of the continuum. Yeah, that trivializes God. So we shouldn't be doing that. But we're not talking about that as a heavy duty thing. The commandment, the word says literally, you shall not lift up the name for reasons of folly or vacuity or nothingness or mischief. Another way, which comes really close to home, of understanding this one is you shall not use religion to clobber your neighbor over the head. You don't get to say, you're going to hell because my God doesn't approve you. We don't have that power. Or when we use God as if God is our possession. So this happens a lot in times of war. It certainly happened. Actually, there's stuff published from World War II about this. God is on our side against the Germans, the Nazis. Or these days, unfortunately, there's been a lot of rhetoric around God implied on or even stated on our side against people like, Muslims or gays or Democrats or Republicans. Name your enemy. That's taking the name in vain. That's lifting it up for something unworthy. Swearing by God in court is probably where this started, if you don't do it carefully, because even for us, when we are called upon in court to make truthful statements, we're called upon to swear in one way or another. And for some of us who feel comfortable with it, it's swearing upon the Bible, which is swearing upon God. This is deadly serious stuff. The God of Israel is really known more for deeds than for a noun thing. Don't misuse the power of God. And the essence of a person is in the name. You don't bandy with people's names, and you certainly don't bandy with God's name. And then there's no work on the Sabbath day. This is the only ritual that shows up among the 10, but it has already shown up. And as I said, it showed up before we got any legislation about it, back with the manna, about when you can gather it and can't do it on the Sabbath. Now, again, it's reminding us of creation in Genesis 1. It must have been a welcome word to these newly freed slaves who never had a day off. It also serves to set them apart from their neighbors, because certainly not the weekend that we know, or even a day off did the ancients know. So this looks weird to the nations who surround Israel. One of the real innovations is that it's for everybody, not just for you. It's for, if you got slaves, and we'll get into that in a little bit, they get a day off too. If you've got beasts, your oxen and asses get the day off. Everybody gets the day off. This is one of the hallmarks of Israelite law, is that it's really egalitarian. And it's holy. As the people are going to become the holy people of God, this is a holy institution. And holy in the Bible means to be set apart. The people are set apart for a particular vocation. The Sabbath is a day that's set apart from the ordinary days of the week, Monday through Saturday for us. One contemporary interpreter of the Bible calls it, and I love this, calls it a sanctuary of time. we've got, sanctuary like churches and cathedrals, and they had the tent of meeting, but this is sanctuary of time. And it also has to do with rhythm of life. There has to be play along with work and rest. So this is a word that is anti-rat race. This is saying to us, we are not what we do. When, I'm semi-retired because I'm still doing these kinds of things, but I used to be known mainly by my titles, by the work that I did. I still sort of am known by the work that I do, but that's not the totality and should never be the totality of who we are.